Hello everyone, I welcome you all to today's session of XAT 2025 paper discussion. In today's class, we will be taking up the data interpretation part. So, if you remember in the previous session, we have done the QA part wherein we covered the first 16 questions of the paper. Now, in this session, we will be doing the remaining 12 questions pertaining to the data interpretation section. And the way in which we will carry on this with this class is the similar way that we carried the previous class wherein we solved question after question. Same thing is going to be done here too. Let us get started with the set number 1. The plots below depict and compare the average monthly incomes in thousands of rupees of males and females in 10 cities in the year 2005 and 2015. So, there are two plots which are given to us that we see here. The plots below depict and compare the average monthly incomes in thousands of rupees of males and females, two groups in 10 cities of India in the year 2 years. So, as you see here, now in 2005, the red dot represents the females that we see here. The red dot represents the females and the greenish dot represents the males. So, if you look at this 2005 figures, there are 10 cities that we have here, A to J. Now, for city A, for example, the average monthly income of females is around what, 27.5 thousand rupees. For males, it is around 40,000 rupees, alright, 40,000 rupees. However, what does this 40,000 and 27.5 thousand mean? We will understand that in a little while. But one more thing, please note these are average numbers. Now, that means unless we have idea about number of females, number of males in the city A, we cannot really calculate the total sum of incomes of all the males or all the females. Please note we only have the averages here. So, this is what we got to know from the first 3 lines. Let us read it more further. The 10 cities marked A to J in the records are of different population sizes. The populations are all different. For a fair comparison, to adjust for inflation, incomes for both the periods are scaled to 2025 prices. So, whatever values we see here, they are all in 2025 prices terms. Whatever value we see here is the average values for 2015, they are also in 2025 price terms. Second paragraph, each red dot represents the average monthly income of females in a particular city in a particular year, while each blue dot, there is a blue dot, there is a red and there is a blue. Red is for females, blue is for males. While each blue dot represents the average monthly income of males in a particular city in a particular year. The gender gap for a city for a particular year is defined as the absolute value, modulus, absolute value would mean modulus of the average monthly income of males minus the average monthly income of females in that year. So, for example, if I want to calculate the gender gap in city A in 2005, it is nothing but this value minus this value. So, it is nothing but 40,000 minus this is what, 27.5 thousand, so around 12.5 thousand. Similarly, for other cities we can calculate the gender gap. So, gender gap is defined as absolute value, that means mod of male average income minus female average income for any city. That is it. This is what we have in the 2 paragraphs, and then there are these 2 graphs. Using this information, we are supposed to answer our questions. Let us get started with the questions as well. 17th one, in which city did the gender gap in terms of 2025 prices change the least from 2005 to 2015 in terms of percentage? Observe, so 2005 numbers and 2015 numbers, the gender gap numbers, we have to compare from 2005 to 2015. That means 2005 is the base, and the options we have are C, D, I am taking in alphabetical order, C, D, E, I and J. Now, let us write down the gender gap numbers for C in 2005 and 15. Now, if you notice C here, the gap is from here to here, which happens to be what? This is 25 and this is 35. So, the gap is 10,000. and here the gap is 22.5 and this is 30, so 7.5. 10,000 to 7.5 thousand in 2025 price, 2025 price terms, right? That's what is asking us in terms of 2025 prices. What is the percentage change here? So the percentage change as you see is 2.5 on 10. Here it's 1/4 change, decrease of course, 25%. Let's look at D. D here is how much? 32.5 and this is 22.5. So again it's 10 and here it is 20 and 27.5, same as C. So it's 10 to 7.5. There's also 1/4. So this clearly means my answer won't be C or D for sure because both are equal, the same. They are not my answer. Let's look at E. Here it is 20 to 32.5, which is 12.5 gender gap, and in 2015 E is 25 to 32.5, which is 7.5. So from here to here, the drop is of 5 on 12.5. 5 on 12.5 will be around 40% drop. Please note, here we got change of 25%, 1/4 is 25. Here we are getting an even higher value. I want least. Thus, can I say E is also not my answer? So now my answer is between I and J. Let's look at I. I is how much here? 20 to 30, so it's 10. And here it's 22.5 to 32.5, it's 10 again. So it's same. So if it remains the same, what is the change? 0%. And the change cannot be lower than this, and hence at this stage we can conclude D should be our answer. I, that is the city I should be our answer. Let's just look at J for the sake of comparison. Here it is 22.5 to 30, 7.5. 22.5 to 27.5, it is 5. So here the drop is 1/3. So clearly J is also not my answer. So option choice D is going to be the correct answer as far as this question is concerned. Next one. Which of the following statements about the average monthly incomes of the 10 cities as represented in the plots is definitely false? So we want an option choice which is always untrue, false. Let's go through the options. Option choice A, in terms of 2025 prices, in more than half of 10 cities, average monthly income of men were more in 2005 when compared to 2015. Let's check, is it false? In 2025 price terms, in more than half of the 10 cities, more than half of the 10 cities would mean at least 6 cities, average monthly income of men were more in 2005 as compared to 2015. Let's observe. I'll just clean this, everything. Now if you notice, I'll just change the ink. Here in 2005, it's 40,000 in 2025 price terms, and here it is 32.5 thousand. So this definitely is one instance where men, the average income of men in city A is in 2005 is more than average income of men in city A in 2015. So here it's more. Clearly in B also it's more. C is 35 here and here it's 30. Here also it's more. We got 3 instances so far. D, it's 32.5 and it's 27.5. Here also it's more. E is 32.5 and here also it's 32.5. So it's equal. We cannot take it. We need it to be more. F again 32.5, 32.5. G 32.5, again 32.5. It's not more. H is 35 and that is 32.5. One more instance. So we got 5 already. We just need one more. I is 30 and there is 32.5. No. Here it's 30 and that is 27.5. One more instance. So yes, that's given statement. The given option choice is correct. There are 6 instances where the average income of men in 2005 is more than average income of men in 2015. So there are 6 instances. So thus this option is correct. That's not my answer. So this is not going to be our answer. Let's look at second. In terms of 2025 prices, the average gender gap of the 10 cities combined in 2015 was less compared to average gender gap of the 10 cities combined in 2005. So please note the gender gap here plus gender gap here plus here, this entire sum in 2005 that will give you the total value of gender gap in 2005, and gender gap here plus here plus here plus here will give you the sum, will give you the total gender gap in 2015. So according to the option, he says the average gender gap in 2015 was less as compared to 2005. I think it's quite visible here. If you look at the gender gaps, in city A, it is more in 2005 as compared to 2015. City B, it's more in 2005. City C, you can see just by comparison, it's more. D, it's more. E, it is more. F, it is more. G, it is, that is slightly more. H, it is more. I think they are comparable. J, it is more. So overall, can't we see in 2005, it's definitely going to be more. So that means 2015 is less than 2005, that's correct, not my answer. I want definitely false. Third option, in terms of 2025 prices, the average monthly income of women of the 10 cities combined was less than 22,000 in 2015. Average monthly income of all the 10 cities, women in all the 10 cities was less than 22,000 in 2015. Observe, here if you look at the minimum average in any city, here it is 25, here it is 22.5, 22.5, here it is less, if you see it's 20. Rest all are greater than or equal to 22.5, right? Only in one city we have a case where women have average income of less than 22.5, 20,000 to be precise. In all the other cities, it's at least 22.5. Now, what do we want to check? He says in terms of 2025 prices, the average monthly income of women of the 10 cities was less than 22,000. Now, can we say this is mostly going to be false? Imagine you have large number of women in A, B, C, E, F, all the other cities except D. Then of course, and D, suppose there is only one woman. Suppose there is only one, and here we have 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, huge number. Then in that case, definitely the average income of women in all the 10 cities combined will be more than 22.5 thousand, will be more than that, right? Definitely, because we are taking very low number here. However, if you take the reverse now, imagine in D we have 10 lakh women, in A, B, C, E, F, etc. we have only 1 women each. Now in that case, can I say the weight of this 20,000 is going to be much higher than all the other cities combined, because I am saying here there are 10 lakh women, whereas all the other 9 cities have only 1 each, right? And in that case, the overall average of women can get close to 20,000 also. That means it can be lower than 22,000 also. So that means this option choice C may be true, may be false, but not definitely false. Not my answer. In terms of 2025 prices, the median monthly income of men of the 10 cities combined were higher than the median monthly income of women of the 10 cities combined, both in 2005 and 2015. 10 cities combined, he says, right? Now please understand, when we are talking about median monthly income of men of the 10 cities combined, I need to know how many men, how many women are there, so that I can think about what the median value will be. Now, do we have that information about the number of males and number of females in the cities? No, we do not have that, and hence it would be very difficult to determine which city, whether males or females. He says the median monthly income of men of the 10 cities combined were higher than median monthly income of women. Now, it's very hard to say, and hence we can also reject this answer. Men is more, he's saying. We can't really say that unless we have some idea about number of men and number of men. For example, here you only know the average. You only know the average value, but what is the overall spread of salaries, the incomes of men, we do not know that, and hence we cannot really comment anything about that. So we can't say it's definitely false. So if all are wrong, definitely E will be our answer. Now let's check the option choice C. In terms of 2025 prices, the average monthly income of men of the 10 cities combined was less than 30,000 in 2005. Now if you look at men, the average income 40,000, 40,000, 35,000, 32.5, 35,000, 30,000, 30,000. The minimum average that I am seeing all across the 10 cities is 30,000. Now it is 30,000 minimum, and all others are higher than 30,000. Can I say overall average will definitely be more than 30,000? Now what is he saying? He says in terms of 2025 prices, the average monthly income of men of the 10 cities combined was less than 30,000. That's definitely incorrect, false, and thus my answer. I hope we are clear with this. 19th one. 100 rupees in 2025 is worth 60 rupees in 2015 prices. So that means 2015 prices will be how much? 60 by 100. So that is 3/5 of 2025 prices. See, the reason I am doing this conversion is, in this graph, we have everything in terms of 2025 prices. For example, the average income of male is 32.5 here. If I want to convert that into 2015 numbers, I will multiply with 3 by 5. How did I get this 3 by 5? 60 by 100. Similarly, 100 rupee in 25 is worth 60 rupees in 2015 prices and 25 rupees in 2005 prices. So 2005 prices is going to be 25 by 100, which is 1/4. 2025 prices. So that means whatever values we are seeing in the first graph should be divided by 4, and whatever values we are seeing in the second graph, 2015 value, should be multiplied by 3 by 5 to get to the original values of that particular year. Which of the following statements about the unscaled incomes, that is the incomes before scaling to 2025 prices, cannot be correct? Which of the following statements cannot be correct? All the statements refer to people represented in the given plots. Look at the first option. It says average unscaled income for both genders increased in all the 10 cities from 2005 to 2015. So average increased, he says, right? Average unskilled income for both genders increased from in all the 10 cities from 2005 to 15. Let's check. So please remember, here I am supposed to do 1/4 and here I am supposed to multiply with 3/5. If I look at females, here it's 27.5 by 4 will be around 7,000, and here into 3 by 5, so that is 60%. 60% of 25,000 will be 15,000. Yes, for females it's increasing. What about males? Here it's 40,000, 1/4 will be 10,000. 32.5 into 3 by 5, 60% will be around 20,000. It increased. Similarly, here also males would have increased. And what about this? This is 22.5. 1/4 of that is around 5-6,000, and here it's 22.5. 60% of that, it's going to be definitely more. So females it increased. Similarly, you can notice in city C, the average income of females is 1/4 of 25, which is 6.25. There it is 60% of that. Yes, it's higher, much higher. 1/4 of 35, it's around 9, and here it is 60% of this 30, which is 18. It's increased. So this way we may notice, when you compare the average income of unscaled income of male as well as females across the 10 cities has increased from 2005 to 15. So thus I say this is a correct statement, but I want statement which is incorrect, cannot be correct. Not my answer. The unscaled gender gaps reduced in all the 10 cities from 2005 to 15. Gender gaps reduced, he says, right? The unscaled gender gaps reduced, he says. Let's check. Reduced, the gender gaps reduced. Observe, what was the gender gap here? 27.5 to 40, it is 12.5. Into 1/4 will give you around what? 3 point something, 3.1, 3.2 types. That's the gender gap. What about this? Here the gender gap was 25 to 32.5, 7.5. And when you simplify, it's going to be 4.5 in unscaled terms. So as you see, for city A itself, the gender gap has not reduced, it has actually increased. And hence can I say, he says the unscaled gender gap for all the 10 cities reduced. No, it didn't reduce, it increased. Hence can I say this is definitely incorrect, hence my answer. So option choice B will be the correct answer as far as question number 19 is concerned. We need not look at the others as far as the test is concerned. Once we got the right answer, we can just move on to the next question. But if you want to check, you can check the rest also, because right now we are only practicing. Moving on, set number 2. It says the diagram below, so this is a diagram that we are talking about. The diagram below represents a road network connecting 5 towns, namely Meerin, Lannisport, Winterfell, Old Town and Gull Town. As you can see here, these are the 5 cities with different names. The maximum speed limits along any stretch of the road are as shown in the diagram. So when you're going from Meereen to Old Town, you can maximum travel at 100 kmph. But if you're going from Meereen to Lannisport, you can travel at 120 kmph. If you're going from Old Town to Lannisport, you can only travel at 20 kmph. The straight road that connects Meereen to Gultown is this to that. So basically this kind of hypotenuse, if I take it as right angle triangle, I don't know if it is right angle or not, let's continue. But right now in the diagram, it's appearing to be so. The straight line, the straight road that connects Meereen to Gultown passes through Old Town. So as we see in the diagram, this road passes through Old Town. Another straight line running west to east, connecting Meereen to Winterfell, passes through Lannisport. We are talking about this particular road. It's passing through Lannisport. Further, two straight roads, one from Lannisport to Old Town, another from Winterfell to Gultown, are perpendicular to the road connecting Meereen to Winterfell and run from south to north. So these are perpendicular. Consider a car always traveling at a maximum permissible speed and always taking the shortest route. It takes 1 hour to reach Old Town from Meereen. From Meereen to Old Town, if it takes 1 hour, the speed limit is 100 and the car is traveling at maximum permissible speed. Hence, can I say this distance here will be 100 kmph into 1, which is 100 kilometers till Old Town. 2 hours to reach Gultown from Old Town. From here to here, it's 2 hours. We are traveling at maximum permissible speed, which is 25. So 25 into 2 will give us 50 kilometers. So this distance is 50, Old Town to Gultown. And 45 minutes, that is 3/4 of an hour, to reach Winterfell from Gultown. So this distance, 45 3/4, and the speed limit is 120. Hence, this distance here will be 3/4 into 120, which is 90 kilometers. 90 kilometers. For this problem, always consider the shortest route in terms of distance. So one more thing, please note, if this is 150, this is 90, in a right angle triangle, we can apply Pythagoras theorem. Using that, we will get this distance, entire distance as 120. The ratio is 5:3:4. 3, 4, 5 forms a right angle triangle. Also, please observe. Can we say, consider this smaller triangle and consider this large right angle triangle. Can we say the two triangles are similar? I hope you all will agree, because we have 190 degree here, 190 degree here, and this is the common angle for both the triangles. So they are similar triangles. So let's call them by the initials. So can I say triangle MLO, Meereen, Lannisport, Old Town, is similar to triangle MWG, Meereen, Winterfell and Gultown. They are similar triangles. Now, if they are similar triangles, can I say the ratio of the side should be same? So what's the ratio of side here? So 100 by 150. So here MO is 100 and here MG is 150. That ratio should be equal to, can I say OL, we don't know the value, divided by GW, which is 90. So when you solve this, OL you will get it as 60. So this distance OL, Old Town to Lannisport, is going to be 60 kilometers. Now this is 100, this is 60, and hence can I say this distance here will be 80 kilometers. Overall was 120, hence this distance is 40 kilometers. So now we know all the distances that we have between any pair of cities which are connected by road. Now we know all the distances. What we shall do now is, let's start with the questions. Tyrion Lannister drove from Meereen to Old Town. Meereen to Old Town along this route. Then from Old Town to Lannisport like this. And finally from Lannisport to Winterfell. So Tyrion went like this to Winterfell, always taking the shortest path. So thus we can say he is going like this. Shortest path is this. Isn't it this shortest, right? 100 only, and here it's more than 100, right, shortest. He always drove at speed of 10 kmph below the maximum permissible limits for the stretch he took. What was his total driving time closest to? 10 kmph less always, alright. Now please note, so that means for the first 100 kilometers, he will be travelling at 90 kmph, so time taken, distance by speed. Next, for the next 60 kilometers, he will be travelling at 10 kmph, distance by speed. And for the final 40 kilometers, he will be travelling at 110 kmph. So, when you simplify, this is simply 6 hours, this is 1 by 9 hours, so 6 and 1 7, plus 1 by 9th of an hour, so let us convert that into minutes, this is 4 by 11th of an hour. So, when you simplify, this will go what? 20 times and 3 times, and this will go what? This will be 5.4 approximately. So, this is 7 plus this is 6.6 plus this is 4 into 5.4 approximately, which will be around 21, 22. So, it's 7 hours and around 28 minutes. So, my answer should be closest to this. So, what was his total driving time closest to? Definitely not A. This looks close, but we have a better option. E should be our answer. That is going to be the correct answer. Alright. Let us look at 21st. Missandei starts from Gultown. So, starts from Gultown would mean starts from there towards Old Town by the shortest path, Gultown to Old Town, like this, driving at the maximum permissible speed. From Old Town, she drives at a speed of 10 kmph towards Lannisport. Old Town, Lannisport at 10 kmph. So, she will take 2 more hours. When Missandei starts from Gultown, Varys starts at the same time from Lannisport to Old Town along the shortest path, always driving at maximum permissible speed. If they do not stop anywhere, at what point will they meet? Let us try to represent it using the diagram. So, Varys is starting somewhere here. So, this is your I think Lannisport, yeah, Lannisport, let us say L. So, Varys is starting from here. So, he will go to Old Town O and Gultown G, and Missandei is starting at Gultown. Missandei starting here, and we know from the calculations we have performed, this distance is 50, 60, that is it, 50 and 60, 50 kmph, kilometers, and sorry, this is 60 kilometers. Now, Missandei travelled at maximum permissible speed, which is 25 kmph, that means she will reach here in 2 hours. So, after 2 hours, Missandei will be here. Okay. And what about Varys? He is also travelling at maximum permissible speed. So, 60 by 20, 3 hours. He will take 3 hours to reach Old Town. So, that means after 2 hours, he would be somewhere here. Varys will be here. After 2 hours. So, after 2 hours, Missandei is here and Varys is here. And he would have travelled 40 kilometers, please note, because he is travelling at maximum permissible speed, which is 20 kmph. So, this will be 40. So, that means the gap between them after 2 hours will be 20 kilometers. This gap will be 20 kilometers. Now, please note, once they start moving towards each other on this path, both will be travelling at the same permissible speed, 20. So, that means, right, both will be travelling at 20 permissible speed, right? I think it is 20 only, 20 kmph, right. Sorry, from Old Town she drives at 10, not at the permissible speed. So, she is driving at 10 and this person is still travelling at 20. Now, if I apply relative speed concept, so time for them to meet will be nothing but the distance between them divided by the relative speed, which is sum of the speeds, because they are moving in opposite directions. Missandei will be travelling at 10 and Varys will be travelling at 20. So, 20 and 10 will be 30. So, 2/3 of an hour. Now, in 2/3 of an hour, How much will be the distance travelled by Missandei? So, distance travelled by Missandei in this 2 by 3 hours will be 2 by 3 into 10. So, that means the meeting is going to happen somewhere here, and this distance is 6.67 kilometers. That is what we get to know, the basic time, speed, distance question. Now, once we know that, if they do not stop anywhere, at what point will they meet? So, the meeting here 6.67 kilometers south of O, we can say. So, option choice E, approximately 6.67 kilometers south of Old Town will be the correct answer. The capital city King's Landing, located 40 kilometers to south of Gultown on the road connecting Gultown to Winterfell. So, King's Landing is here, 40 kilometers down, here, somewhere here. So, if I just draw it again, Gultown, and here you have Winterfell, I think, yeah, Winterfell, and you have King's Landing in between. King's Landing, and this distance is 40 kilometers, I think. Please note, overall it was 90, so this will be 50 kilometers. On the road connecting Gultown to Winterfell, did not have a straight road connecting to Meerin. Now a new expressway is being built to connect these two by straight road. Meerin was somewhere here. You will have Lannister somewhere here, you have Old Town here, and this is Meerin, suppose. We are building this expressway, right? Old Town will be somewhere here. This path was also there. What should be the maximum speed limit allowed on this expressway? MK. So that it cuts down the travel time from Meerin to King's Landing from the fastest possible route through the road network shown in the diagram by 20 minutes. Now notice. Now here, to reach King's Landing is somewhere here, right? So King's Landing is somewhere here. Now, if you go like this, the minimum time you will take is, for travelling this part you will take 1 hour, for travelling this you will take 2 hours, now here you will take more time. So 3.5 hours is what you will take. Whereas, if you go along this path, you will take 80 and 40, 120 kilometers in 1 hour, because the speed limit is 120 on both the parts of the road. This is also 120 kmph, so that means overall you will travel 50 and 120, 170. At what speed? 120 kmph. It is much less than what was the previous value. Previous value was above 3 hours. This is going to be less than 2 hours. So this is the better path. This is the better path. And in this path, how much time are we taking? How much time are we taking? So minimum time to travel from Meerin to King's Landing is 170 kilometers upon 120 kmph. That is the speed limit. This is the number of hours. I will write it in 60. I will multiply with 60, write it in minutes. So this you will get 85 minutes. Now you want to cut this by 20 minutes. That means along MK, that new expressway that we are planning to create, along MK, my travel time, the travel time must be how much? Must be 20 minutes less than this, 65 minutes. Now, can we find out the distance MK somehow? Yes, we can, because we know the base 120 of the triangle, we know the height 50. So, 50 and 120 will give you, if you apply Pythagoras theorem, MK as 130, and hence our answer, the speed limit, maximum speed limit, will be nothing but the distance 130, which we got from Pythagoras theorem, MK distance divided by the time 65. I want it in hours, so 65 by 60. Now just simplify this. This will give you what? Directly 120 kmph. So that's the speed limit that you can have for satisfying the given conditions. So the answer is going to be E, 120 kmph. All right. Now let us move on to the next set. Let us go through the information. GADREV is a firm that reviews different latest gadgets through a team of 4 reviewers, R1 to R4. Recently, the reviewers reviewed 4 different tech gadgets A to D on a scale of 1 to 5, all integer values, where 1 denotes poor and 5 denotes excellent. These review ratings were then tabulated. However, due to a technical glitch, some of these ratings got deleted. The average rating given by each reviewer and the average rating given to each gadget were earlier communicated to the team management in a separate email, the average, and hence can be useful to retrieve the deleted ratings. The available ratings along with the average ratings are represented in the following table. Now look at this. So what I will do is, this table I will just write it down again. We have A, we have B, we have C, we have D, and then you have R1, R2, R3 and R4. Now, some of the ratings are given to us, so we will just write that. Some of the ratings are given to us. So what are the ratings given to us? 4 and 3. 3 and 4. 5, 5, 4. That is 5, 5, 4. I think something like this. Yeah, 5, 5, 4. That's it. And then you have the average rating. Please note, the average is 4. The rating is 4 over 4 different items A, B, C, D. So if the average is 4, what will be total rating? 4 into 4. Can I say this will be 16? So sum of this row here should be 16. Similarly, this will be 16 and this will be 16 as well. And that is 16 into 4 into 4.25, 17. Likewise, average rating given for product D by 4 reviewers is 4.25. So what will be sum of the ratings? It will be 4.25 into 4, which is 17. And rest all will be 16 only. Now, same thing can also be done here too. Now here as well. Now this average of 4 is same as 16. Sum is 16. So 4.25 is same as 17. 16, 16 and 16. Let's work with sum. Now let's try to look at each row and each column. Let's try to see what exactly can be said about what is given to us. Now notice, if you look at D, the sum of these 4 blocks should be equal to 17. Right now it is 3 and 5, 8. 3 plus 5 is 8. That means, can I say these two together should be equal to 9, right? And what are the ratings possible? Ratings can only be from 1 to 5. Now sum of two numbers from 1 to 5 should give you 9. How will you get that? Only one way of doing that. One is either this is 4 and this is 5, or the other possibility, this is 5 and this is 4. So two possibilities are there. So I'll just take both of them. 4 and 5, let me continue with this. Now in this case, if you take 5 here, 5 and 5 is 10, 10 and 4 is 14, so this should be 3 naturally. Now similarly, 4 and 4 is 8, 8 and 3 is 11, 11 plus something should give you 16, so this must be 5. Now look at B now. If you look at B, 4 and 4 is 8, 8 and 5 is 13, so 13 and 3, this should be 3. Correct? Now similarly, here as well we can reach to some extent. 5 and 4 is 9, 9 and 3 is 12, so this should be 4. This must be 4. 5 and 4 is 9, 9 and 4 is 13, so this must also be 4. Right? Make sense? Now notice one more thing. If you look at 3 and 4 value, so if you look at 3 and 4 value, so it is 7. 7 plus something should give you 16, so that something must be 9. So these two together should be 9. Now by the way, here as well we can place this 4 here. 4 and 5 is 9, 9 plus something should be 7. So these two together should be 7. So 2 and 5, 3 and 4, alright. There could be so many other possibilities as well. Now let's come back to this case. So we are able to fix up R2, B, D as well. Now let's take the same thing. R1, sum of these two is 7, so these two together should be 9. So what could be the possibilities? Let's take both of them. So if I place 5 here, suppose, so this will be 4, 5 and 4 is 9. Now if this is 5, 5 and 3 is 8, 8 and 3 is 11, so this should be 5. 4 and 4 is 8, 8 and 5 is 13, 13 and this should be 3, right. This is one way in which the table can be filled, or it can be 4, so then this will be 5. So if this is 4, the second case, 4 and 3 is 7, 7 plus 3 is 10, 10, so this should be 6, which is not really possible. This can't be 6, right, because rating is only from 1 to 5, and hence this case of 4 and this being 5 is not possible, we will say. So this case we are only getting one possibility. Let's check for the other case. Here we said there could be 5 and 4 or 4 and 5. So if I place 5 here, suppose, and 4 here. So if I place 5 here, 5 and 3 is 8, 8 and 4 is 12, so this will be 4. Right, 4 and 4 is 8, 8 and 5 is 13, 13 and 3. So this way we could have this possibility, alright. If I put 5 here and 4 here, just like this, we will get these possibilities. What about if I do the opposite? If I place 4 here and 5 here, let's check that. So if this is 4, 4 and 3 is 7, 7 and 4, this value was not given to us, huh? Right. This is something that we filled earlier, right. So 4 and 3 is 7, 7 and 4 is 11, so this should be 5. Okay, and if this is 5, what can we get here? 5 and 4 is 9, 9 and 5 is 14, so this will be 2. It can be 3 or 2, which is possible, which is feasible. If you add them all, 4 and 4 is 8, 8 and 3 is 11, 11 and 5 is 16, that is alright. 5 and 4 is 9, 9 and 2 is 11 and 5 is 16, that is alright. So these are the possible ways in which the ratings could be decided. So overall we have 3 cases. Here we have 1 case and here we have 2 cases as we see. Now based on these tables we will try to answer the questions. So the first question, 23rd, what rating provided by R1 to gadget A can help in determining the ratings, remaining ratings uniquely? R1 to A. So R1 to A, 5 will help us determine that, right. But if you give 5 here, as we see there are 2 possibilities, please note. If you say the answer is 5, so with R1 giving 5 rating to A, we can get this combination or even this combination, you see that. So there are 2 possibilities, but instead imagine if R1 gives 4 rating to A, then you will get only one possibility, 4 here, so this will be 5, 5 here, so this will be 2, 4 here, this will be 5, all will be fixed. So thus can I say giving rating of 4 to A by R1 will help us fix everything, and hence we will mark option choice C as our answer. So 4 should be the answer. Next one, in how many different ways could the reviewer R2, in how many different ways could reviewer R2 have rated B so that the ratings lead to the same average for the gadgets and the reviewers as shown in the table? So basically the question is R2 can give what all ratings to B. So R2 gives 4, R2 gives 5, so only 2 possibilities are there. So 2 would mean option choice A will be the correct answer. How many different valid combinations of the missing ratings are possible? As we saw already, there were 3, 1 and here we got 2 more. So 1 and 2 will give you 3. So 3 will be the answer here. So second option choice will be the correct answer. Now this leaves us with the last set for today. Let's go for this. In an 8-week course, a professor administered a test at the end of each week. Each of the 8 tests was scored out of 4 marks and the student could only receive a non-negative integer. So that means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possibilities. Two students, Ravi and Sumana, took the 8 tests. So let's just name those 8 tests here. So these are the 8 tests taken by Ravi and Sumana. In the first test, Ravi and Sumana scored the same marks. So here both are equal. From 2nd to 8, Ravi scored the exact same non-zero marks. So from here to here, Ravi is all same. They are all same marks. Sumana scored same marks as Ravi from the 5th test onwards. So Sumana is also same as Ravi. Whatever number comes here, same will get here as well. Ravi's total marks in the first 3 tests was the same as Sumana's total marks in the first 2 tests. Now please also note, in the first test both are equal. So if I take this as x, this is also going to be x. Suppose this is y, so this is also going to be y. So Ravi's first 3 tests, which is x plus 2y, should be equal to Sumana's first 2 tests. So that means x plus second test for Sumana. So hence can I say second test for Sumana should be 2y. So if this is y, this should be 2y. So that means in second test, Sumana will end up getting even score for sure. Because this is non-zero, y is non-zero. So this can either be 1 or 2. So this can be either 2 or 4, that's it. It cannot go beyond 4. So hence I say this can only be 1 or 2. Y can only be 1 or 2. I hope we are clear. If this is y, this is 2y. This is non-zero. So this could be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. But this should be twice of that. But at the same time, the maximum score allowed is 4. So 2y will be less than or equal to 4. That means y will be less than or equal to 2. So y can be 1 or 2 only. That's it. So we can have 2 possibilities for y. Let's read further. Also, Sumana's marks in the first test, the total marks of the first 2 and total marks of the 8 tests are in GP. So that means for Sumana, what can we say? X, comma, x plus 2y, first 2 tests, and all the 8 tests are in GP. There's one more information that we have. That's it, I think. Yeah, that's what we have here. Now, based on this, what could be said? Observe. As I said, y could be 1 or 2 only. So let's take 2 cases. So y can be 1. Now in that case, this will be 2, right? And this will all be 1, same as these 4. Or y could be 2. In that case, this is going to be 4 and this is going to be 2 again. So we have only 2 possibilities now. However, these are missing. We still don't know what the score should we get here. Maybe that's still missing. But we have one more information. X plus 2y and T8 must be in GP. Now if x plus 2y must be in GP, think about it. Can x be equal to 2? Can x be 2? So if you take 2, suppose you take x as 2. So if this is 2, what will be this plus this? It will be 4. That means the score is getting doubled. So that means the total score for 8 tests should be 8, right? So if you take this is 2, suppose 2, this is 2 plus 2, 4. So 2 is becoming 4. The total score in the first 2 tests is 4, double of the first test. Then the total score in all the 8 tests should be 8. Now is that possible? That's possible only when you take these 2 as 0. So 2 plus 2 plus 4, 8 is possible, but for that this should be 0. So x can be 2, I say x can be 2. Now in this case, can x be 2? Or let's take one more. Here can x be 1? Let's check. If x is 1, let's see what happens. If you take 1, score in the first 2 tests, I am taking the first case only, will be 3, 1 plus 2. So that means score in the 8 test should be, the value is becoming triple. So this should be 9. So sum of total scores here should be 9. Is that possible? Maybe. Let's check. So if you take this is 1, this is 2. So 1 and 2 is 3 and 4, 7. So sum of these two should be 2 possible. So it could be 2 0 or 1 1 or it could be 0 2. Anyway, so sum of these two should be 2. That seems to be possible. So it could be 1 also. Can x be 0? 0 is not allowed, right? Why it's not allowed? Please think. If x is 0, if you want GP, 0 into anything will be 0 only. So it won't be possible here. X cannot be 0. Now can x be 3? We took 2, we took 1. Can x be 3? So if you take x as 3, suppose I am still talking about this case only. It will be 3 and 5, 3 comma 5. We will get a fraction definitely. Right. The next value will be fraction, not allowed. So that means x cannot be 3. Can it be 4? So if you take 4, same problem. 4 and 4 plus 2, 6. It will be a fraction. You are multiplying by 1.5. So then it should be 9. The common ratio is fraction, but it should be 9. So if you take this as 4, in this case only, if x is 4, 4 and 2, 6, 6 and 4 already is 10, you can never get score of 9, that is not possible. So 4 is also not possible. So that means in this case, x can only be 1 or 2. Now let us take the second case, this case. Here can x be 1? If you take x as 1, so 1 plus 4 is 5. So 1 is becoming 5, that means next it should become 25. Now can we get 25 here? This is 1 I am saying. So 1 and 4 is 5, 5 and it is 13, so that means these two together should be 12, impossible. So this can't be 1. In this case this can't be 1, not possible. Can it be 2? 2 comma 6, so it is getting tripled, so 18, 2 comma 6, 18, 2 looks possible, let us observe, 2 and 4, 6, 6 and 8, 14, so sum of these two should be equal to 4, seems possible, right, seems possible. Can x be 4? See I am skipping 3 because observe, if you take 3, if x is 3, 3 and 4 will be 7. The common ratio is 7 by 3 and when you multiply 7 by 7 by 3 you will get some fraction, not allowed. So thus I did not take 3, I skipped that. Now let us take 4 and check it. If x is 4 here in this case, so 4 comma 8 and then 16. Is that possible? So here can I have 4? Let us check. So this 4, this anyway is 4, 4 and 4 is 8, 8 and 8 is 16. Already 16, so that means these two together should be 0. So both of them will end up being 0. So there are so many possibilities that we can have out here. So x can be 1 or 2 or 4, right? X can be 1 or 2 or 4. So if we take this as 2, for example, we have one combination here, 2 0 0 1 1 1 1. If you take this as 1, we can have multiple combinations here, 1 2. And the sum of these two should be 2, there can be 3 ways in which you can get a score of 2. Anyways, after this initial analysis, let us go for the questions and see what exactly is he asking us. Let us look at the questions one after the other. Which of the following can be true? Possibly, right? Sumana scored 3 marks in the second test. Impossible, right? It is 2 or 4. It is impossible, it can never be true. Ravi scored 0 in the 5th test. No, it will be 1 or 2. No, it cannot be 0. Sumana scored 2 marks in the first test. Yeah, that is possible. This can be true and hence my answer. Let us look at the others. Ravi scored 4 marks in the third test. Impossible. It can be 1 or 2. Sumana scored 4 marks in the 8th test. That I think was 1 or 2 again. No, it is not true. So hence option choice C is going to be the correct answer. Moving on. If Ravi scored 4 marks in the first test, that means x is 4. How many marks did Sumana score in the third? So if this is 4, third test was 0. Sumana scored 0. My answer. 28. If Ravi scored 1 mark in the second test, so this case. If Ravi scored 1 mark in the second test, what is the maximum possible value of Sumana's total marks in all the 8 tests together? Let us observe. This is 1. So, if Ravi scored, sorry, 1 second, 1 mark in the second test, yes. So, this 1, that means we are taking this case. Now, if you want maximum sum, anyways, this is going to be, we want maximum, right? We want maximum. So, the maximum could be, if you take this as 2, so 2 and 2, 4, 4 and 4 is 8. So, 8 could be one of the possible total score for Sumana. If you take this as 1, 1 and 2 is 3, 3 and 2 is 5, 5 and 4 is 9. So, 8 or 9 could be the total score for Sumana, but I think the question is asking us maximum possible. So, maximum possible will be 9. So, option choice E will be the correct answer. I hope we are clear with this. Now, with this we have come to the end of the session. Thank you and all the very best.